created to have some fun together, sharing and singing. So, join and enjoy.
Our love for opera brings us together. Thanks for being with us in this trip.
Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another program. We are here again with Opera We Love Singing. We are for today. We have another very interesting, amusing, and for us very entertaining program. We will be talking. If you noticed the title of today's program, we are going to be talking about myths, facts, and anecdotes. If we happen to recall an anecdote related to the 12 myths or facts that we are going to be sharing with you today. Of course, as we have done in the past, as we love singing very much, we will be singing along the way throughout the program. I would like to thank people in YouTube who will be watching this video, and I also wanted to thank again people in the podcast. Now that this podcast is being replicated throughout the most important podcast platforms. We have received a good number of visits last week. I thanked people in Norway and Europe. I would like now to thank the Great Britain, the UK joined last week as well, and a good number of people in the United States of America joined also. So native English speaking speakers. I know you will apologize us for any problems as we are not native speakers, but you are. But we want to thank you for joining us and making this program. And also, as we would like to start with today's, you may recall if you have followed our program in order. You noticed last week we voted in each of the topics. This time we will not be voting itself, but we will be sharing with you whether we think it is a myth or a fact. Why the world of opera is so full of myths, I really don't know. I swear I spent a good number of hours and days thinking, how is it that we came up with so many myths? And well, that's the way it is. So with no order pre-established, we are going to start now sharing the first one. So we're about to share with you whether this is a myth or a fact. Opera is all about singers yelling all the time. And you can tell by Katya's image on the camera that she does not agree. What do you say? Is it a myth or a fact?
I think it's a myth. Um, we opera singers are known because of our powerful voices, and you have to sing loud. Yes, because you must be heard at the last of the seats. But it doesn't mean that you're yelling. In fact, your technique should make you able to do or to use different skills or resources as singing a piano, like we mentioned a few programs ago.
And
So it's not everything about yelling. It's a myth.
I, I think, unless you think differently, that it has to do with the fact that people are not familiar with the sounds of the voices. So you listen to popular voices, those singers sound like the spoken language they are doing it. But when they listen to an operatic voice, first thing, we are not using a mic to be heard a good number of meters away, right? So I think that what they think or their mind does is, oh, he's not using a mic, then he's yelling. He's just, in Spanish we say a grito pelado, like singing like a grito pelado. I think that's what their interpretation is, but I wanted to add to what you just mentioned, and it is correct. The technique for singing opera and these genders is not the same technique as for singing popular music. And the natural technique, which is the impostation and which comes a little later, the natural technique, that technique makes your voice naturally to be projected a good number of meters away from you and at a much higher volume than a popular singer. And if you don't mind, I would like to take one more minute to share you an anecdote. Over a year ago, I was I was rehearsing at the Zona Cultural del Cuale a melody, and I noticed that a guy, uh, some 50 meters far from where I was, he approached. Well, I saw him in the distance, and I noticed he started walking to where I was and the other people who was listening. So at the end, he approached to me, asked me a couple of questions, and asked me to learn singing technique in 3 minutes, which of course didn't happen. And he shared with me that he sang rap and something else. He was a rapper. And he said that he was very concerned that he was barely 36 years, and that unless he had the mic almost inside his mouth, nobody could hear him. So he said, I started singing 10 centimeters from the mic. Then it was 5. And now I have to have it almost inside my mouth to be heard. And he asked me, what is it that we did so that our yelling could be heard from far away? I explained to him that it was not yelling, but we just shared the impostation technique of opera singers, make it be heard very far away, because he said he wanted to get that kind of sound inside rap. And I told him, well, you can work on your singing technique, but it will take you a couple of years to make it happen. He said, oh no, if it cannot be resolved in a couple of classes, then I am not interested any longer. What I will do is that I will increase the volume of the microphone so that people can hear me. Well, up to him, right? Okay, let's go for a second one. Myth or fact? Opera is boring. It is not. And just before we started today's session, I was talking with Katia. She prepared for us today a piece of lieder, but maybe, I'm not sure if we should explain to people what a lieder is. We can assume they know, or maybe should just go for it.
Well, if you want, I may sing it, and then we talk about lieder.
Sure.
The differences between lead and opera, and why lead is not boring, but opera neither is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead. De Lotus Blumen sticht sich vor der Sonne Pracht und mit gesenktem Haupte erwartet träumend die Nacht. Der Mond, der ist ja Bulle, weckt sie mit seinem Licht. Und im Entschleier sie fröhlich, ja, frommes Blumengesicht. Sie blüht und leuchtet und starret stumm in die Höhe. Sie duftet um einen und zerrt, vor Liebe und Liebesschwäch. For Liebe und Liebesschwäch.
And where is the super high note at the end?
It's not opera.
There is none. And that's one of the things why people think that very fine genders, such as lieder, many people find it boring because people are expecting that high note or that long note at the end. So when the singer finishes, just like you did, people start is left like and when are the pyrotechnics being sung, and there is none. But and also the other challenge, and it is the same case for the opera, is that most operas are in German, French, and English, and unless you're a native speaker or you speak proficiently any of those two languages, it will be very difficult for you to understand. So I think that first thing we have to say, it is a myth. Opera is not boring. Maybe you are approaching opera or lieder at the wrong time, which means maybe you are just starting, and when you are starting, people say go for Rossini, go for the most popular operas, go for La Boheme, go for Traviata, go for Rigoletto, because they have something that are very easy to understand. But if you go for something more, I wouldn't say sophisticated, but in a very different style. Well, where the story is told more calmly, where the development of the characters, where the personality of their voices is different, then people are just not engaged. So I think that's one of the reasons why they say opera is boring. But going back to the leader, this fine German music, mostly is and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I have heard a good number of times that each leader is a poem. The power of
It
the
is.
words is, wow, immense. Tell us a little about the text of what you just sung.
In this poem by Heinrich Heine, we have a picture about um, um, a flower that is afraid of the sunlight. And suddenly the moonlight appears and smiles to the flower, and the flower starts to dream about this light, about the forest. So, yeah, in this sense, the music is in a second place because the content, the text, is the main issue in this kind of music, in this style, this genre.
And it is very interesting when you happen to have the text or the lyrics at hand, because as I was saying, if you don't speak the language, it could be very difficult to understand. And to complement this, I wanted to insist that maybe you're starting with the wrong type of opera or gender, and that's why you find it boring. Because let me share another anecdote. When one starts singing, well, not for the sopranos coloratura because they still are, but for other younger singers who fall in love or whose immediate goal is to sing a note, I would say, I want to sing an A that will last 8 seconds. So you will go la until you hold and see if it has good color and all that. No, but and that's all I was interested in, melodies or songs that have high long notes to show off. But as I have been becoming older, I am less interested in the high and longer notes, and I have deeply fallen in love for music that in the past I would have never paid attention to. I have appreciated more this calm, this perfection in the intonation, in the phrasing, in the emphasis of a syllable. Now I enjoy it that more because now I feel that just providing a high long note is not what I would be expecting now. But I am aware that people are expecting these songs that really make them feel at the very edge of their emotions by listening to those powers. But I think it also has to do with the evolution of you as a listener and the evolution of you as a singer.
Yeah, I think that uh, we all start as babies in something that we are just approaching too, and music is not the exception. Um, when you start to, well, it's not my case because, like I said in the first program, I grew up listening different kind of different genders of music, but we not everybody has the same chance. Okay, so Maybe it's easier to start with something that sounds funny or light or quite melodic, these long notes, and then you start to appreciate or find uh, that there are um, different kind of things you can appreciate within the music. Then you start to appreciate the line, the phrases, the text, the color of the voice, because you can sing everything. We told that already. You can sing everything as a Puccini opera. So, but it's part of growing up
You,
as a
you,
music listener.
you know what I have also loved? I have a the music sheet, the music scores that I have for Tosca. You know that I love Scarpia. Well, you know it. Maybe the audience doesn't know, but I
More.
love Scarpia. If I was a baritone, if I had the voice, I could really love to sing Scarpia. But uh, what has happened to me is that, let's say I play a version of Tosca, I sing along some of the parts, but at some moment I get lost and not even continue singing because I start reading the notes on the music sheet. Then Tosca, it is in Italian, then Tosca approaches the table and realizes there is a knife there. Scarpia, who is still writing, and even though I can be watching it or just listening to it, as I start reading the notes in the libretto, I get so lost, picturing in my mind the scene that at some point the music is like in the background because now my point of focus is now all those notes that, as for the case of Tosca, very clearly depicts the astonishing drama that is going on stage. So, just to insist, I think that if you find it boring, maybe you have just chosen the wrong gender, or maybe you just need to dig into a little different composer and start taking those baby steps to approach to this world that for many like us has become, maybe for many of us, like our main world or the world we like to live in. Okay, let's go for the next one. Is it a myth or a fact? You're going to love to answer this one. Singers are very cultivated people.
We should be.
We should be, yeah.
Well, I think that it's like every career, like the rest of careers and like the rest of people. And it depends on how much you might be interested about learning about everything. In my case, I try to be a cultivated person. I don't just take the score and read the notes and sing. I try to investigate about the character, about the book that the opera or the song is based on. I try to investigate about the composer, about the language if it's necessary to do. Um, I try to read, I try to learn, but it depends on each one. We should be cultivated people.
We should be, yeah. And maybe, just to insist, and I cannot provide any numbers, even though I have several anecdotes, I cannot give any numbers, any names, sorry, because some of those singers are still active and I don't want to get in trouble for telling you who they are. But since I know a number of singers who are still active here and there, I have been in contact with them either in person, phone calls, or anything, or reading what they post in their social media. Oh my lord. Well, just as also as we say in Mexico in Spanish, ¿y con esa boquita comes? No, no. Because you immediately realize what's the type of content that they are sharing. And I also wanted to contrast it because I also gave a good number of hours thinking about it. that why is it that when you learn that a person is an opera singer, you immediately or something goes in the mind of the person and now pictures him or her as a very cultivated person who speaks many languages, who is this and this and this. And I was thinking, because there is something that you can find in Google or in Wikipedia to make it easy, go and look for the halo effect. HALO, like the video game Halo. Go look for the halo effect, but because I think that's what explains the expectation of people towards the singer. Now you have to be perfect. Now you have to be educated. Now you have to do this and this and this and this, which at some point may be a great burden. I remember another mezzo whose name I cannot share because she might kill me if she ever finds that. She told me that she enjoyed, those who know Mexico, going to the tianguis, to the supermarkets, the street markets, because she enjoyed. And we know that is part of the culture of Mexico. But she said that she could not do that any longer because last times she ran into people who knew her and who expressed that they felt disappointed to see that she was buying vegetables like anyone else in the world.
My
And I
God.
said, we,
I mean, we are people. We need to eat
we
too.
eat. So what is it wrong that you go and buy your own vegetables like anybody else would do going to the street market? Right? Yeah, really. She told me, I really like going there, but now I don't feel free to go and see and look and ask because now I feel like someone is watching me all the time. Because there are high expectations from the end of. I remember also that when I used to go to the Conservatorio Nacional de Música, those fellows, those students who felt, there is always someone who feels the top over everyone. They would wait for the others to leave and take the public transportation because they didn't want the others to realize that they also had to take the bus to get home. For some reason, people, the halo effect, tend to believe that if you are a singer, you have a car yourself or you have the chauffeur waiting for you to pick you up. And you see what I try to tell you? People build a whole world around what they think of singers. And singers are.
Actually, it's city gods, but no, that's not
That's not
true.
true.
Almost, but not yet.
So, singers are very cultivated people. That is desirable, but that is not a fact.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is not a fact. Let's go for another one. Oh, myth or fact? Opera is elitist.
Well, that's a hard one.
And this is where maybe we should be playing music because this one is a hard one.
I think that it has to do with the country we are singing opera in.
it, it, it
If
has
we
to.
talk about Mexico, we should say that opera indeed is very elitist music because we are not approached to the gender since kids. So it is for a certain circle of people that it's able to pay a ticket. Also,
We are about to talk about the price, but yeah, you are right.
but about the culture too,
It,
because not everybody is interested from zero to go to an opera. So in that sense, it is elitist in Mexico. I repeat, or that's my appreciation. In I want to believe that there are other countries that is more open to the public in general. So it
and,
depends on.
and the thing is that Mexico has very clearly separated or the social classes, whether you are an aristocrat or someone with good economical resources, and whether you are not and you are poor or something like that. Um, the perception, at least, is that opera is only for this elite of people who were born and have a given a family name that has lots of importance in the economic or political circles. I have been lucky. Now, an anecdote. I have been lucky to invite a good number of friends to attend the Opera de Bellas Artes. There are very few, for people in Mexico know that the Opera de Bellas Artes has very few representations throughout the year. But if there is one that I think they may like, I have invited them somehow to let them to approach them, because people just they walk outside the Palacio de Bellas Artes and they take a look like, am I even going to be admitted to get in? How much is the ticket gonna cost? Which we are about to discuss. But they feel, in terms of social differences, that they shouldn't be approaching places like the Palacio de Bellas Artes. And I have invited them. They have many times asked me how to dress, how to behave, what to do, what not to do, which of course is of some value, because people sometimes may fall out of a given behavior. But what I tell them is that, because they realize that many of the people that go, especially the ones on the first floor, they are usually of very good families, and they go there just to share something the very next weekend with the family. And that's why it is perceived as elitist. And yes, it is elitist, but from the perspective of more than culture, it has to do with the perception of the social class that you belong to. At least in Mexico, I hope that is not the case of yours in your country, but that's the way it is, at least here. But don't be afraid, approach. We are about to talk about that. And I was saying...
Yeah, I have heard about this.
Sure.
When I started to study music in my neighborhood, knew about it. It was like, oh my god, and you sing, what do you do? Oh yes, I train myself to be an opera singer. And what does it mean? And the first times I started to sing, my neighbors were like very curious what I said. Are you gonna invite me when you sing? But now it's kind of normal to listen my concerts. I can say that I have made a difference in my neighborhood, and I'm satisfied with the result.
And I think, or I am pretty sure, that now it's time that you share with us another song. I know that you would like to sing for us one of the most famous composers, but we will not stop there, because it's going to be a Paulo Tosti's piece, if I am correct. So why don't you sing it, and then we share our comments.
Se ancora col più dolce tuo sorriso mi ripeti alla tua vita in questo amore volevo dirti che i tuoi occhi e tuoi occhi il tuo viso ancora tu il tuo mentire e poi d'amore. Basta per dire che questo amore
among the